course.
You're welcome. One thing just to set this up, you've been in D.C. now for a couple of years, but of course, I kind of feel like you kind of had an outsider's perspective and a fresh perspective of organizations here in D.C. And one thing you write in the article is that the people in charge here come across as smug, self-serving, or frighteningly unconcerned. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think most of the column, I get some reaction from some people that make it seem like I've true. I very much say allegedly and allegations and accusations in the piece, but what I'll focus on mostly is their initial response and how instinctively the Washington Redskins' instincts are, let's minimize this, let's sweep it under the rug, let's try to discredit these women, instead of just saying, you know what, just kind of like Bruce Allen finally said in his statement late yesterday, we're going to take this seriously, we're going to investigate it, we're going to vet it. If we find anything wrong, there will be significant repercussions. Why can't you do that initially? You can't do that initially because I don't think your heart is necessarily in the right place. And that is my opinion, based on dealing with these people for 3 years and based on things that I have I've heard about them that I haven't reported, and based on a lot of conversations with a lot of different people.
I agree with you, particularly with Bruce. I think Bruce is stupid. I think he is.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, I mean, I think he is a deplorable human being. I think he's a phony. He's a fraud. He's a joke.
He's born on third base. Don't forget that.
He's born on third base and hadn't advanced. Yeah. Still stuck there. Dan, though, is interesting because he shields himself. So we can read between the lines, like suing fans and all these things that he's done through the years. But I have less of a clear picture on him. He's kind of a vague, elusive kind of guy to me.
Yeah, and he has backed away from the limelight, probably rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably been a good strategic move for him. But he very much is engaged and understands what's going on in his organization.
Mm-hmm. How do you describe – we're hearing rumblings that the relationship between Bruce and Dan is frayed somewhat, that there is some tension there, and it simply could just be because of the lack of winning, which it should be. But there is some thought that they're very, very close, and nothing could ever happen to separate these guys until a new stadium deal is worked out. Are you getting any sense that there is any fraying of the relationship?
Yes, I have that sense that Bruce is now bulletproof, and I remember writing it toward the end of last year that I thought there was a scenario in which if Dan Snyder was finally fed up, that it could result in some kind of a separation. Just Bruce not running the day-to-day as the president. That didn't materialize, and then obviously as these Raiders rumors have come out, Bruce has come out and said, I'm here. But as we know with this organization, nothing is ever set in stone, and relationships can go from good to tarnished to nil.
Mm-hmm.
During the season, I'm there a few times a week. I follow all 16 games. Have not been around much this offseason, but there hasn't been much that has been there except for Alex Smith and obviously the draft.
I think you're very good at what you do, and I don't envy your position because, when you write an article like this.
And you got to be there next day.
Yeah, you got to see these people. I mean, I don't know how much interaction you have with Bruce I guess you don't have any interaction with Snyder. He doesn't seem to come out of his hole. But
Bruce doesn't really talk to people, though. My understanding.
But it's not just those two. I mean, when you're ripping the entire organization, those are people you see, like you said, 3 times a week. Is it ever awkward for you?
Yeah, how's that sit with your interactions with Tony Wiley?
Do you ever feel awkward and uncomfortable when you walk in that building?
Well, what's interesting is, a lot of people in the building I like and have great respect for. But I think there is sort of a vibe of Bruce just doesn't want to play ball with most of the media, especially the media who is going to scrutinize and second guess. and called to task. So there's virtually no relationship there. After when I first got there, I said clean slate. You know, I'm a new person. I'm going to judge this thing with my own eyes. Let's try to foster a relationship. He didn't want to really do that. Obviously, you know, that there's probably a fraying of my relationship with that organization because I defended him on certain things, but you know, I'm still the same person that I've always been. You know, if I get something presented to me to make me take a look at it another way, I'll consider it. And I don't mind going against the grain of popular opinion. If I found out convincing, compelling evidence that Dan Snyder or Bruce Allen were good guys who were misunderstood, I'd write it. But ultimately, I am beholden to writing what I see, writing what I learn, writing what I know.